Hello. Good morning, I must say. It won't be morning for long. Seems like all as I ever do is rake leaves, and it seems like on YouTube the only thing I'm on is me raking leaves or pulling leaves or putting up beams or doing other goofy things. But today I want to talk about something that was important. Um, Basically, we've been on this farm now for 6 years. We haven't grown anything of any proportion, but I was put on this farm for a reason. This farm represents freedom of America, and we're now trying to save the house and the farm. A lot of, at least my daughter has said, well, you know, we should just put it out there that we need help and that we need to save the house and that things have gone wrong and, you know, that people should just get out there and come volunteer. I tried to explain to her that even though our house is extremely historical, it should be a national landmark park, that people just don't do that. There's so many people that are in that situation that, you know, you give even $5 and another person pops up. So why should we save this house? That's the question. At least that's the question that people ask me. This house is very significant, besides the fact that the people that were here were pre-Revolutionary War and then mustered out to go to Bunker Hill and all those different places. There are at least 50 houses, probably not left anymore, that could have claimed that claim. But the people that were here were also in Rogers Rangers, and this house at one time belonged to a faith healer. Why is that important to us? We're losing all of our spiritual world. We're losing all of what America stands for. This is why I'm doing two things here. I'm doing several things here, but the two main things that I'm doing right now, if I have time to survive, is that one is the Last Christmas Cabin. When I was brought here, and I was brought here by the spiritual world, and I know some people don't believe in that kind of thing, but our country is built on spiritual power, and whether you want to call it God or whatever you want to call it, it's present. And it brought me to this house. This house has a huge spiritual pedigree. One of probably the biggest in the world, if not the United States, and certainly in New Hampshire. And so the pedigree is that the people that were here were either faith healers, which was this man that was here. He was the seventh son of the seventh son. He healed a lot of people of cancer. That was something that they can't be healed of. Ironically, my wife is here now, and she's had a bout of cancer. She's doing better. That's how the Last Christmas Cabin was created in the first place. I had dreams about abolition and slavery, and they were connected to this house. So I wrote a book that hasn't been published yet called I'm not even remember. Follow the Star, and it's about following the blue star, Sirius, here. And it turned out that the slaves used the North Star, including Frederick Douglass, who was here standing in this house at one point in time. Mark Twain was standing in this house. A bunch of people that were involved in abolition were standing in this house. I did not know this when I wrote the other book. Now I'm working on a follow-up book called The Last Christmas Cabin. It's a cross between my wife struggling with cancer and wanting someplace fine to live, and Nateo, who is a slave that's given as a gift at Christmas time. Ultimately, he reaches this cabin, and I shouldn't give too much away. It may end up being a tragedy, but he basically comes here to this cabin at Christmas time, and I can say this, for Nateo, it's a happy ending. For my wife, it seems to be a happy ending, but that's pretty much up for grabs. Right now we need to save the Last Christmas Cabin. We need help building it. It's partially built. It's built out of a room that was already here. But I'm just running out of energy, and we've definitely run out of funds. We need volunteers. We need somebody simple just to come in and fund it. Now that can be 1,000 people out there could give $5, and that would take care of part of our taxes. This is part of the Monument of Freedom. We were overtaxed and misrepresented by the town here and by the state of New Hampshire. It's a horrible thing. My family created America. My family fought for freedom. They fought the taxation of England, and now Peterborough has the gall to cheat us out of taxes. So we need help with this. If this project is going to stand, the other thing that I was going to mention is I'm creating a monument to freedom here, and that's going to be in the backyard. This place totally represents this one spot. This is the perfect spot for the Monument to Freedom. What is the Monument to Freedom, you would ask? It's an obelisk, but it's a triangular obelisk, and it's based on my mathematics that I've been working on. And basically, everybody that came here had something to do with abolition. Now, I know the Black Lives is popular right now, but this is not about that. And so, I don't want you to get the wrong idea if you're supporting this. I think very few people will support this that are supporting that movement. What this represents is freedom for everybody. And what it represented to me was freedom for me to get away from persecution in California. And I came out here, as everybody else did, to this mountain to find out who I was and why I was. And it turns out that my family were everywhere. Every one of my family members helped somebody that created the United States. Washington Franklin, Thomas Paine, everybody imaginable. They were in the Tea Party. These one group of family members, actually, if it wasn't for them, those people would never have existed for the revolution. And I found out tons of stuff about the guy that lived here. He was one of the original signers of the Declaration of Independence. Now, he was one of 75, and if you know your National Treasure movie, there were supposedly 55. There were actually 57 or something. But he was one of 75. Now, how could this be? He was alive in 1840, and I read some of the newspapers about it, and he was one of 3 left. These were 75 men that were down in New Hampshire, and they signed the Declaration of Independence, freeing themselves from Britain in 1776, which is the same year that the thing was. But instead of July 4th, it was way back in May or April. So they were way ahead of what was going on. And the ironic part about it is the state of New Hampshire was not represented in the 13 stars on the flag. They came in, I think, as about the 14th state to join the Union. That's one of the reasons that the Monument to Freedom should be here. The other reasons are that Mark Twain came here. He came to Dublin right before he died, 4 years before he died, and his basically he came here to write his memoirs. He was just up in Dublin, which is just up the street here, and he stayed with, or he was met with, some people that are part of my journey. They too were part of my family. I did not know that. And so my daughter's sort of shaking her head like, you know, make it short. I can't make things short. I have to show you that there's a value to save both me and the house and my wife and my daughter by help funding it or volunteering to come finish the Christmas cabin by Christmas time. The tragedy is that I'm extremely sick and may not make it even to that point in time. That's why the urgency. There's one more thing here. There's an advanced math system that's part of the mysteries. I have solved every single mystery for the last 5,000 years. Now, this knowledge was known. It's nothing new, but we lost it once the Catholic Church took over and killed off most of the scientist-minded people. We lost it. I have rediscovered it. Last night I was working on the mathematics for Stonehenge. I know this has been done before, but this is a numbers count and a multiplication table that that fits everything. These are all the monuments around the world, including this house is one of the sites. It's a primary site for astronomy, astrology, and mathematics. If people believe in freedom, if people believe that people should not be taxed without representation, then the smallest person out there in the masses, I don't care how much money you have, if you donate just a little bit to this cause, we can save one little piece of America that's left. You know, I fought for everything I did. I was an independent person. I'm not well liked in some places. I'm misunderstood. I've been called a lot of names. And I never did anything that would warrant that. I was always a Mason, not a Freemason. I was asked to join, but I didn't, because I wanted to tell stuff that is against their code. And I've always built things. I'm still building things. And it's cost me everything that I am. But in the end, what the stories I have to tell, they're amazing. It's going to change the world. It's going to change the way we look at history. It gives a purpose to a person's life. It gives a purpose to being an American. It's the true nature of America. It's not what we have now. And I don't care if people hate me for that, but if we want to get any part of America back, we will build the Monument to Freedom. Let me clarify one more thing. The Monument to Freedom, the medallion that's on it, is called the Running Man. It's a sculpture that I created. It was stolen with all the rest of my stuff in California. The original bronze was created when I was in high school. Later in college, I painted a picture of the Running Man, and that I have a copy of. So I can copy it. And like Augustus St. Gaudens, who's up here in New Hampshire, also is a national park, ironically, and they're working on one of his sculptures in Boston, and they're paying $3 million to have this thing refurbished. Well, why doesn't somebody come here and pay $100,000 and save one of the most important sites and the most important people in the whole world? I don't understand it. I don't get it. But one reason is people don't know I exist. Every time I try to go online, I don't make it. So, the Monument to Freedom needs to be put up here. And like I said, the medallion on 3 sides of it is the Running Man. And the reason is that everybody has run a distance if they want to get away from something. The slaves ran here to get away from slavery. And they achieved that through the help of the people that ran this farm. And other people in Boston. It all lines up through this farm. That's what we've got to understand. I've done a lot of research. I've got 10,000 books here, and I've gone through all of them, and they all keep leading me back to this slavery issue and abolition. So, and Mark Twain and all the others. So, here's the deal. This is the perfect site for this. So the Running Man does not represent the black men or people. You might think it did because it's here and this was a safe house, but it represents all people. It represents me. It represents my wife. It represents you if you have a dream to get out of your situation. It represents freedom for all people. Freedom is one of those weird things. If you're an oppressed person, which seems to be the going thing right now, you have a dream to get out of your situation. You always dream for either your kids or yourself to have a better life than you have. And after the dream, if you can, the only way to get out of your situation besides changing it is to run to somewhere else where you can start a new life. That's what this is. That's what the Running Man represents. This monument, when it's built, even though people may see it just on a photograph or something, they can say, a man came here and built this monument. He didn't build it for himself. He built it for everybody. Everybody's dream, everybody's freedom. And that is why I need you people in America to help me. And by the way, I ran for president in 2016. I just thought I'd throw that in there. And one person elected me. myself. So anyway, good luck with that, and hopefully my daughter will post some contact information, um, to help on the video. We live in New Hampshire. We're at 219 Old Dublin, and that's where this whole thing is going to hopefully happen. And hopefully this year, hopefully the Christmas cabin will be complete and they can have Christmas in it. And we don't need much, we just need the roof to be put on, I mean the actual physical roof, a fireplace to be built, and then everything's sealed in. And then if the fireplace gets built, it's going to be a really marvelous Christmas. And it'll be the fulfillment of the book. I think I'm between 25 and 40,000 words into the book. I didn't finish it, and at the rate I'm going with my neuropathy and stuff, I don't think I'm going to finish it. But when it does get finished, it will be a cool book. Maybe one of the best I've ever written. So, if you can help me, I'd appreciate it. Now I gotta go back to raking leaves, which the leaves keep falling down anyway. And I rake them, I just raked them 2 weeks ago. And my daughter filmed me pulling them up the hill. I'm trying to clean up the house. I want it to look good. I don't want to leave this earth with another mess, because I've already done that before. But everything that I've done, I can say that once I got here to New Hampshire, I found out that I had a reason. And that reason was the journey of free men and free people. I've always been free. And, this situation is the first time where I felt free, but then there's been people that had a hold on me. I painted a picture of a man. Originally, I painted the most oppressive picture I could ever paint, and that was back in college. And I painted a man who was inside of his own brain, and his brain was the jail cell. Now, that's the most depressing picture you could ever paint, because any man that's been in jail or knows about jail or watches movies on jail knows that there's a way that he can escape. And usually he does that with his brain. But if his brain is the reason he's the prisoner, then the harder he thinks, the tougher the cell gets. I lost that painting, that was stolen with the rest of my stuff. But the basic thing about it is, later, soon after that, I painted an artist, a shadow of an artist, and there were shackles on the ground, and he's coming up out of the shackles are open, and he's painting on the canvas. So basically, through art and knowledge is freedom. I did not know at the time that I would be working with slave issues, and so that's very cool. That painting is also gone. But again, if we can, we need a symbol. The Statue of Liberty's outlived its usefulness, sort of, and now we need a symbol for America, and that's the Monument to Freedom. So I've drawn it all up, and hopefully you'll support me. Thank you. Thank you for your time.